Hey Arnold was one of the most emotionally intelligent cartoons on 90s television.
We can do it, I promise.
As a kid, I thought Arnold was just unusually nice. Rewatching the show as an adult, I realized he was doing something much more interesting. Hey Arnold ran on Nickelodeon from 1996 to 2004. It was created by Craig Bartlett. Arnold lives with his grandparents at the Sunset Arms boarding house in the fictional city of Hillwood. He's surrounded by an eccentric cast of neighbors, classmates, and full grown adults with real complicated
I
problems.
never finished the fourth grade.
That's what sets the show apart. A lot of kids' cartoons kept adults in the background. Hey Arnold put them front and center with actual emotional lives and let a 9-year-old walk straight into the middle of them. First glance, it looks like a simple cartoon about kids in the fourth grade facing everyday problems. As a kid, I didn't realize how big some of those problems Arnold and everyone around him were facing. And that gave the show a lot of depth and realism. The problems themselves weren't always life changing, but the emotions behind them were. And rewatching the series as an adult, I started noticing that Arnold approached those problems differently than everyone else around him. Whenever someone had a problem, they would get made fun of, dismissed, or ignored. They would always be judged by what was shown on the surface. But Arnold never went that route. He would try to listen and understand the person and their issue. Arnold seemed to respond to what they were feeling. Now, at first, I thought maybe I was reading too much into it. But then I started thinking about some of the show's most memorable episodes. Take Stoop Kid, for instance. Everyone in the neighborhood knows the legend of Stoop Kid. He stands on his front stoop all day, yelling at anyone who walks past. Eventually, everyone just learns to ignore him and stay away from his stoop.
Hey! Walk around! Keep your eyes off my stoop, old man!
But Arnold notices something no one else does. Stoop Kid never actually leaves his stoop. Once everyone realizes this, the jokes begin. The other kids laugh at him, call him scared, and suddenly the neighborhood bully becomes the kid who's afraid to step off his own front porch.
Hey! Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop!
One night, Arnold hears Stoop Kid crying and realizes there's something much deeper going on. Rather than making fun of his fear, Arnold feels sorry for him and helps him face it. After a few failed attempts, Arnold shows Stoop Kid that there is a world beyond his stoop that he could explore. Once Stoop Kid realizes this, he then can take the first steps off of his stoop.
Harass people from my stoop and from off my stoop!
This is one of the clearest examples of what Hey Arnold was actually doing. He was teaching emotional intelligence. And that isn't just recognizing how someone is behaving, but it also means understanding the emotion that's driving the behavior. Everyone else saw a bully. Others saw a kid who was really protective of his stoop. But Arnold saw a kid who was scared and needed someone to believe in him. By the way, if you enjoy looking back on old shows with an adult perspective, subscribe and hit the like button. There's much more to come. Now let's take a look at the episode Gerald's Secret. Gerald has been hiding from everyone that he never learned how to ride a bike.
I don't know how to ride a bike.
So instead of admitting it, Gerald keeps it a secret. When Arnold finds out, he doesn't laugh, he doesn't tell the other kids, he quietly offers to teach him. The lessons don't go very well at first. Gerald crashes and gets frustrated and starts to get teased by Harold. He eventually gives up. And at that moment, Arnold could have pushed him harder, but instead he lets Gerald walk away. Later, Gerald decides on his own that he isn't ready to quit. He practices by himself, comes back, and eventually rides in the bike-a-thon alongside Arnold. Again, Arnold understood something that everyone else missed. This was never really about riding a bike. It was about protecting Gerald's confidence and giving him a safe place to believe in himself. This is called self-efficacy, which is our belief that we're capable of succeeding. That belief is incredibly fragile, especially when we're young. When people feel embarrassed or humiliated, they often stop trying, not because they can't succeed, but because they're afraid of failing. And Arnold recognizes this as a young fourth grader, which is another reason this show was mature well beyond its years and it's still aging well today. The final episode that convinced me was Grandpa going back to school. At first, it feels like one of the funniest episodes in the series. Grandpa ends up in Arnold's fourth grade class, makes friends with the kids, gets into trouble, and somehow manages to embarrass Arnold every chance he gets. As a kid, this was just for laugh. But watching now, I noticed something much more human. The whole reason Grandpa dropped out of school wasn't laziness. It was that his family needed him to work to bring in money during the Great Depression. Arnold convinces him to go back. At first, everything goes well, but when the math starts to get more complicated, Grandpa suddenly changes. He stops taking classes seriously, he starts acting like the tough kid, and eventually gets himself into so much trouble he's on the verge of being expelled. As a kid, it looked like Grandpa was just acting immature. But then Arnold confronts him, and Grandpa finally admits that he's scared. Not scared to go to school, but scared of failing.
I'm scared, okay?
Scared of what?
After carrying that unfinished chapter around for nearly 70 years, he's terrified that if he can't finish this time, it'll prove he never could have in the first place. But Arnold doesn't criticize him. Instead, he studies with him and encourages him. Eventually, Grandpa earns the diploma he had been waiting almost his entire life to receive. This is another part of emotional intelligence that can go unnoticed. Sometimes people don't need advice, they just need someone to listen and understand them. Everyone else saw an old man acting like a child, but Arnold saw someone who doubted himself. Watching these episodes back, I don't think Arnold's greatest strength was that he always knew how to solve people's problems. It's that he understood what people were feeling before he ever tried to help. Stoop Kid didn't just need someone to tell him to be brave. Gerald didn't need someone to teach him how to ride a bike. Grandpa didn't just need a grade school diploma. Each of them needed someone who could see past what was happening on the surface and understand what was going on underneath. And this is emotional intelligence at its core. Looking back, these are some of the lessons that stuck with me throughout life because it wasn't just entertaining us, it was quietly modeling something that a lot of adults still struggle with: listening before judging, understanding before reacting, and remembering that there's almost always a reason people act the way they do. Watching it now, I don't just see a cartoon about a kid with a football shaped head. I see one of the most emotionally intelligent characters ever written for children's television.